Coming up in this Fincast, a beautiful community fish that most people have never seen nor heard of.
Oh, we use the extreme fish food quite a bit in our shop. We like it very much. It's very palatable for the fish. We a lot of times fish that don't eat other things will eat the pellets, which is a great thing.
Hi everybody, John here with another Fincast. Today I want to tell you about the Threadfin Rainbowfish. This is a great little community fish, maybe not for beginners, but a low intermediate could handle this fish. And it is absolutely gorgeous, and the most dominant feature is the long trailing fins, which is where it gets its name, the threadfin, and it's also called the featherfin. A beautiful rainbow fish that comes from Australia. Let me tell you a little bit more about it. This is a fish that loves a planted aquarium, and it's best to be kept in a group, a small school, although they don't swim around in an actual school, at least in my fish tanks, the way, say, my neon tetras do, or a harlequin rasbora or something like that. So that is one thing that I will say, but they are best kept in groups, and you'll want a selection of males and females. It's very easy to tell the difference because the females don't have those long trailing fins. In my aquarium, for whatever reason, I ordered a group of them and I only received one female, but the female is actually quite beautiful in its own right. It's got a nice sort of yellow body color, and what will happen is the males will group up around the female and they'll display their fins, and when they do that, it's absolutely spectacular. I was only able to get one instance of it during the time that I was taking video for this Fincast, but it's absolutely beautiful, and if you Google around, most of the pictures that you'll see of this fish will be of the males displaying, because it's something that has really captured the hobby's attention. And again, in my aquarium, one of the things I would change if I was keeping these fish is I wouldn't have the black background, because those long trailing fins are black in most cases, and so up against the black background, as you can see in some of the video I'm shooting here, you don't really get that sense. What I did is I went around to the end of the aquarium and I got some images and from that direction, and then you could see the black trailing fins on a few of these. Now I have a couple of males in my tank that tend to be more dominant. One has a beautiful red tail and the other has a white tail, and the other males, while beautiful, aren't quite as striking as those two in particular. But at any given time, the dominance within the school, I think, could change, and you might see a difference in that. Let me tell you a little bit more about the type of water they like and where they come from. In the wild, these fish come from Indonesia, New Guinea, and the northern parts of Australia. They've been found in rivers in New Guinea, and then they also come from some of the swampy areas as well. So they're found in both flowing water and swampy areas. You Google around the internet a little bit, and they tell you not to have too much flow in the fish tank, which kind of seems consistent to me, because the long flowing fins probably wouldn't do real well in a lot of current. That just makes sense. This fish, by the way, was actually first discovered in 1974, so it's only been in the hobby for a short time. It likes clear water and partial water changes, but you don't want to do big water changes with this fish because they do not like changes in their water. They take a long time to react, and also you'll notice they have a very small mouth, so you have to make sure that they're eating and that they have particles of food that they can eat easily. In my aquarium, I feed a pelleted food, and the larger fish sort of break up the pellets, and then the threadfins come around and eat the pelleted food. But I have noticed when I put the flake food in there, they go right for the bits of flake food. So I probably will start to do flake food more often, although this is a fish that I've kept in my planted aquariums without issue now for probably going on 4 years, and they haven't given me any difficulty at all. It's not a real long-lived fish. 3 to 5 years is considered to be the lifespan. So I have had one that just kind of died on me, and I couldn't figure out why, because it had been healthy, and I finally decided that it died of old age. And I have had these for a long time, and there's no real way to know how old they are when you get them. The fish you're looking at in my aquarium are full size. They grow to about 2 inches, and you can tell when the males get to be their actual adult size, because there's a little bit more of that dip right behind the head, which you typically see with other species of rainbow fish. This is described as an intermediate fish to keep, and one of the hardest things for them is recovering from transport. So if you get to the fish store and they've just come in from the fish store's wholesaler, and then you bring them home, that's a lot of stress on these fish. So you'll need to watch them carefully. All right. They are considered an omnivore, so they will eat some plant materials, and in the wild they'll typically eat little diatoms out of the water, and I don't want to say microscopic particles, but maybe particles that you wouldn't see from back a little bit. But that's in keeping with the smallmouth. Now, these fish never stop swimming, so you need to have a little bit of space for them. I would say a tank of 15 gallons or more to swim in, and I would think maybe even a 20-gallon long would be better than a 20-gallon high if you're looking at tanks in that size range. If you'll notice, my images are not what I would typically consider some of the better video or still pictures that I've taken, because the fish never sits still, so you can't get that perfect image, and they're darting all the time. So that's just, I'll just apologize for my video right now. And then the other thing is that this is a mid-water fish. So when you look at your aquarium and you're trying to kind of get that well-rounded fish tank, you want some fish that inhabit the caves, you want some fish that hang out on the bottom, and then you want some fish that are out in the mid-water all the time, and this is that fish. They stay out in the middle of the tank. They're not near the top of the tank very often. They're in and around the driftwood all the time, and they really like the middle of the tank. It's very rare to see them down in the plants unless they're eating, but swimming across the top of the plants and in and out of the driftwood is where they're the happiest. And honestly, that's what you're looking for when you balance out your fish tank. You want to have fish that inhabit different parts of the tank, and these are perfect for that. There is a fair amount of evidence that says that these fish are also jumpers, so it's not a bad idea to have a glass cover on your tank. And a lot of people who keep planted tanks don't like to have a cover because it blocks some of the light, but I've never had any issues with these fish jumping. But again, if you scratch around on the internet a little bit, you'll see that there is some evidence of that. Maybe it comes down to their level of happiness. I don't know. This is a peaceful fish. I've never seen any aggression with my featherfin rainbowfish, and I would be very surprised if you would. However, if you have them in a tank with fin nippers, like say a tiger barb, that's going to be a problem, because the tiger barb is going to love to go after those long trailing fins. They don't seem to be real picky about the temperature in the aquarium. I just run my temperature in the mid to high 70s, and they seem to be just fine. If you want to learn more about the threadfin rainbowfish, I've posted some links to some great articles in the description with this video. And by the way, this is part of my huge driftwood project, my planted tank project, and there is a whole series of reports now going back to the very setup of this tank, and then working backwards through that, including the fertilizers that I'm using for the plants, the type of plants I'm using, and so forth. So if you want to click on the playlist above my shoulder, whichever one it comes up on, that would be great. I'm sure you would find a lot of good background on the other fish that I have in this aquarium with the featherfin or threadfin rainbowfish. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next Fincast.